We're going to take a look at the log stream. The log stream has three main screens: the logs page to search through raw log events, the fingerprints page that gives a summarized view of logs based on log fingerprints, and the log analytics page that can be used to explore metrics derived from log events. Let's go through each of these screens in detail. The logs page is divided into four main sections: the filter section on the left, the log search box at the top, a timeline of log events, and the logs list view. The filter section can be used to apply label filters and log facet filters. Label filters are divided into subcategories, including log level, log source, cloud labels, Kubernetes labels, and additional labels that are associated with the pod emitting the log event. The label filters are followed by log facets. Log facets are key value pairs that are auto-derived from the log event itself. Log facets are categorized into the source from which these log events are derived. Let's take a look at the label filters. In order to apply a source filter, just expand the source label and click on a given source and say include or exclude. In order to view the log facets, you can expand the source in the log facet section and view the different values and counts. For example, the catalog source has the following log facets. By clicking on the method log facet, we can view the different values and their counts too. If you want to filter by a given method, you can click on the method and say include or exclude. If we now look at the log search box, we can see that the label and log facet filters that we applied appear as chips here. These chips can be edited by clicking on them and changing the value. For instance, if we click on the method chip, we can change the value from get to list. We can add more filter chips to the search box by typing the filter we want. Autocomplete for label and log facet names are supported. When you start typing, you will see a list of suggestions. Let's say we want to filter by pod name. We can select pod name, followed by selecting or typing a value for the pod name. The timeline view shows the number of log events seen bucketed by time and log level. Hovering on a bar will display the log events at a given timestamp. We can narrow down log events for a given time range by clicking and dragging on the timeline bars. You can come back to the full time range view by closing the time range pop-up that appears below the timeline. The log list view is laid out as a table with timestamp, source, and message displayed by default. You can add or remove other options by clicking on the options and selecting and deselecting them. By default, the log events are displayed in descending time order. You can change this order by clicking on the three dots to the right of the column header and clicking on Sort Ascending. You can go into the log event detail view by clicking on a row and pressing Enter, or by clicking on the Show Details link that pops up when you hover on the event. The log event detail view shows the full log event, a fingerprint, log-derived facets, and labels categorized as Kubernetes, Cloud, and Additional. You can filter the logs by clicking on the log facet and saying include or exclude. The log event detail view also has a show in context option. This opens a new tab and shows logs filtered only from that pod and container name. This is useful in cases where the user may want to look at the log events that happened before or after the current log event from the same process. The fingerprint page provides a summarized view of all the log events in the given time range and filters. Fingerprinting is one of our unique technologies. During ingestion, we recognize log lines that share static streams. Although there are variable portions to each line, we can categorize logs with the same static portions together. These static streams with variable fields are called fingerprints. On the fingerprint page, fingerprints are ordered by descending count. The table view shows the source of the fingerprint, the pattern, the total count, and the timeline chart. This view can be quickly used to narrow down interesting events in the system. Fingerprints can also be included or excluded. For instance, if there's a high volume, repetitive log that you don't want to see anymore, like this fingerprint, just click on the fingerprint and say exclude. The analytics page can be used to derive metrics out of log events. The metrics can be based on the count of log events that match a filter, like count over time or rate. Metrics can also be used on log-derived facets. Let's say you want to look at the rate of log events from a given source. You can apply the source filter from the left panel. Now from the analytics page, choose the metric as count log events as number, with the range aggregate as rate. This will chart the per second rate of logs from that source in the given time range. For log-derived facets, choose the metrics from the dropdown. For example, going back to catalog, we can choose catalog took as a duration and aggregate max over time for method. If this is a query that we'll want to see often, we can save this metric to easily access it in the future. You can save this log-derived metric by giving it a name. This will derive the metric that you just explored in a streaming fashion and write a metric to the metric table. This log-derived metric can later be explored from the metric explorer directly. That's all for the log stream. Take a look at our videos on the other streams, explore a demo yourself, or install your own copy with one click at kloudfuse.com.